Well, what a fucking fight that was. It definitely lived up to the hype. Thoroughly enjoyed the fight. Artur Beterbiev takes a majority decision over Dmitry Bivol to become undisputed light heavyweight champion. I had this fight a draw. I had it 114, 6 rounds apiece. I wouldn't have had a problem if Bivol had got the decision one way or the other. I didn't have a problem with Beterbiev getting the decision. One of the judges had it 116, 112, which I can't get my head round personally. I haven't watched the fight back. I've just watched it live, and I can't see that myself. One judge had it a draw like I did, and the other judge had it 115, 113 to obviously Beterbiev, who is now the champion and the winner. I would love to see the rematch. It was a real shame that somebody had to lose this one, and I knew there'd be a bit of controversy because I couldn't split them. I mean, there were some rounds, that Bivol was doing what he does. He moving, firing his combinations, catching Beterbiev coming in with right hands and left hooks and jabs. Beterbiev always had that pressure. He was working nicely to the body as well. He landed some wonderful body shots through that fight. His nice jab through the middle and a couple of some right hands were going in. He was cutting the ring off nicely. I mean, there were some rounds that were hard to score. There were some rounds where Beterbiev would be pressuring, and he'd push Bivol into a corner or against the ropes. He'd unload with his best shots, and then Bivol would just spin his way out and counter him. And there'd be sections of each of rounds where Beterbiev would start hammering with those right hands to the head and body, and you'd think, he's got this, he's got him in trouble here, and then Bivol would just fire back, always firing back, so it was one of those fights I couldn't split them. Okay, 6 rounds apiece, like I say. Absolutely wonderful fight. A real chess match, like thoroughly absorbing. I couldn't take my fucking eyes off it all night. The whole fight, I couldn't take my eyes off it. Wonderful. Going into after the 10th, I had Bivol up by 2. I thought he was just more eye-catching stuff was coming from him overall, and Beterbiev's corner had told him, you need the knockout, which that's a reasonable thing to say because it was so close. And I gave the last two, 11 and 12, to Beterbiev because he had Bivol in trouble. I mean, Bivol was fighting back, don't get me wrong. It wasn't like he was being battered around the ring or anything, but he took some punishment in those 2 rounds. And in some of the earlier rounds, as I say, it was the body work for me from Beterbiev. They were registering. He was landing right hands to the body. Bivol, okay, he wasn't shaken, he wasn't buckled, he wasn't hurt, but you could see they registered and he'd move a certain way. I think, he's hurt slightly. Or in one round, Beterbiev landed, I think it was like a screw shot with his left hand, sort of a hook come uppercut, and that kind of staggered him a little bit. That might have been in the 9th or 10th round, and you can tell by the body language that it registered and it hurt. Didn't, like I say, it didn't buckle him, it didn't shake him, he wasn't on Dream Street or anything like that, but they did register. So those last 2 rounds that Beterbiev took, that gave it the draw on my scorecard. And as soon as I realised I had a draw, I thought, right, this fight is either going to be a draw or it's going to go either way, which would have been perfectly acceptable. Whoever had got that, 115, 113, either way would have been perfectly acceptable for me. And I knew whoever got it, people would be unhappy. And all I've seen all morning, scrolling on social media or looking at YouTube videos or whatever, is people screaming robbery. This was no robbery, they were 2 evenly matched, highly skilled fighters, best of their generation at the weight. This will go down. This is today's modern day Hagler Leonard, because that fight gets talked about to this day. Oh, Hagler was robbed. Some people say Hagler was robbed. Some people say that Leonard deserved it. You know, it's always I mean, that's been going on for all these years since 1987. This one will go down like that. We need a rematch, in my opinion. We absolutely need a rematch to set this straight, because they were so even. You know, it was so even. I'd love to see it again. When that would happen, I mean, both guys indicated that, yeah, we're quite happy to do it. And the other thing that I was so pleased about was at the end, and they're being interviewed, both guys were so gracious. There was no bullshit, no nonsense. Bivol didn't cry and complain. You could see he was disappointed. Of course he was disappointed. Either man would have been disappointed if they got the loss, because it was so close, in my eyes, and a lot of people's eyes. You could see he was pissed off and he was disappointed, but he was so gracious and said, congratulations to Artur, he deserved it. What a man. What a man. I mean, so many times fighters bitch and complain and moan. These two are a different breed. They just get in there, like he said, yeah, Bivol said himself, I just did my job. What a throwback. These guys, absolute gentlemen. And this is why I love both of them, because they're absolute gentlemen. There's no bullshit, no excuses, no nonsense. And I'd love to see him do it again. Absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic fight. Brilliant. Now, the undercard was a bit of a mixed bag. Definitely a bit mixed bag. Obviously, the co-support, the supporting bout, if you're not the co-main event, but the supporting bout, was obviously that rematch for the British and Commonwealth heavyweight titles for Fraser Clark and champion Fabio Wardley. Obviously, that wonderful fight back in April, or was it March, whenever it was, earlier this year. And I expected another war of attrition. Well, it didn't even last a round. Fabio Wardley absolutely destroyed Fraser Clark. And it was quite scary, actually, because when it first happened and Clark sort of sank against the ropes to the floor, he was still upright, but he was down. I thought, oh, he's just taking a knee. You know, he's not, you know, he's just taking it out. He's going to get up. And when the cameras zoomed in on his face, he looked fucking dreadful. He was gone. He looked like he'd had a stroke. His jaw was all to a funny angle. Excuse me, I do apologise. And his eyes were spinning around in his head. He was gone. Now, the warrior instinct, he tried to get up, but his legs were, he looked like a deer on ice, you know, and wow, I did not expect it to be over that quickly. Fabio Wardley can fucking whack. We knew that anyway, going into the fight. Fantastic. So, I don't think we need a rubber match, a third match for that one, because obviously the first one was a draw. I picked Fraser Clark to win this one. I thought purely because of his pure boxing amateur background. I mean, I had him just nicking it the first time, but you know, Fabio Wardley can fucking whack. I'd like to see him in a fight against somebody like Parker. I think that'd be quite interesting. Even Chisora, yeah, that would be quite interesting. You know, maybe even Joyce, somebody like that. Give him somebody, you know, somebody at British level, and then at world level, obviously, or Zhang. That would be a good fight. Stick him in with Zhang at some point. Wilder, maybe. You know, the possibilities are endless, as they say. Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Yeah, Sky Nicholson retained her WBC Women's Featherweight title over Raven Chapman. It was quite one-sided. I think I gave Chapman 2 rounds. She was game. She was plucky. She was pushing forward a lot. But Sky Nicholson was just something else. You know, it was a lot of it was single punches from her. But she was in such a, she's got that wide stance and hands down, and she was just countering everything. Every time Chapman came forward, she was just countering her. So yeah, well-deserved win for her. Bit of history there. First, I think it was the first world title for the women in Saudi Arabia. So, you know, fair play. The one I was disappointed the way it ended was obviously the Ben Whittaker-Liam Cameron fight. Now, I was looking forward to this one, and it was starting to shape up quite nicely, and then they both took a tumble over the top ropes. It was like something out of WWF, you know, like the Royal Rumble. You know, years ago when I was a kid, I used to watch WWF and remember Lex Luger and Bret Hart falling out of the ring at the same time in the Royal Rumble. And that's what it reminded me of. They both went down. And Whittaker indicated he'd hurt his right foot or right leg, somewhere. I haven't seen any news today, so I haven't looked to see what exactly the injury is. But he was taken out on a wheelchair. It went to the scorecards, technical decision, and it was a draw. Now, I actually had Cameron up, I think, a couple of rounds when it ended. One had it for Cameron, one judge had it for Whittaker, and the other one had it a draw, which I thought was a bit crazy, but whatever. So at least Cameron didn't lose. Like I say, I had him quite happily ahead, as did a lot of people. A lot of people online I've seen a bit pissed off about it. I've seen the the memes go around Ben Whittaker. They said he quit. He was looking for a way out. I don't know. I've seen some reports online that his team told him to stay down and pretend you're hurt. I don't know if that's true. That's just what I've seen. I've seen a couple of sources saying that that had been overheard at ringside. If he did look for a way out of this fight, he's a fucking scumbag. However, if he's legitimately hurt, then people need to back off. You don't know what it's like being in there sometimes. It's fucking hard, and especially a big tumble like that. Now, when they first went over, I thought Cameron took the worst of that. I thought he went head first when it first happened, but he seemed all right. But Whittaker wasn't going to get up. You could see it. He was just led there with his leg up in the air. He wasn't getting up. So I was very, 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 very disappointed with that one. And Chris Eubank Jr. got I haven't got my scorecard, I haven't got my notes in front of me. He got a knockout victory over Kamil Szeremeta from Poland. I wasn't overly impressed. I mean, don't get me wrong, he won every round. He dropped him in the first and dropped him later on, and with some body shots and that, and finished him. The referee waved it off. Although Szeremeta got up, fair play. He was very brave. He kept getting up, and he was a proper warrior. But he was getting a paste in. He wasn't going to win a decision. He wasn't going to. No real indication he was going to knock Eubank Jr. out. So fair enough. They stopped it. I didn't have a problem with the stoppage. And then, of course, all that bullshit. Conor Benn got in the ring, ranting and raving like a prick. I don't want to see this fight. I will probably watch it, like I said yesterday. I'm not going to lie and say I won't. But if they put it on, then I probably will watch it. But all I see is two guys trying to cash in on their dad's fame and their dad's rivalry. The dads had a proper rivalry in the 90s. These two don't. This is manufactured bullshit, riding off the back of their dad's careers, in my opinion. You might think I'm stupid for saying it. You might think I'm a fucking idiot. You might not agree with me. That's fine. That's all I see is two guys who, if it wasn't for their dads, probably wouldn't get a look in. I'm not saying they're not skilled. Of course they are. And I'm not saying Eubank Jr. hasn't got skill. Of course he has. But he's 35 years old. He hasn't got that much time left on the clock. And he's naturally too big for Conor Benn. Conor Benn is a smaller fighter. I can't see how it's going to work. Obviously, Ben's got his issues with the British Boxing Board of Control for his PED failures a couple of years ago with all his bullshit excuses about eggs and all this crap. I don't buy it. It's been 2 years since that happened. They'll probably just, it'll be a silent ban. And I can see the fight being made, because why else was Conor Benn there? He was at ringside purely to promote a fight between these two. And if it happens, fine. If it doesn't, I don't care, But I wasn't overly impressed with Eubank Jr. He made hard work of that, in my opinion. When he dropped him in the first, I thought, oh, good, we're going to get a pretty decent clinical performance. And I don't know, he just kept. It's like he switches off sometimes. I can't work the guy out, really, but whatever. It is what it is. And, of course, poor old Jack Massey, he got stopped in 6, I believe, by Jai Opetaia. He landed some good punches. Opetaia's left eye was a bit puffy and swollen. Massey did actually get through with some decent punches, but he had no chance. Jai Opetaia retained his IBF cruiserweight title in that fight. Yeah, it was just a clinical performance. Yeah, Massey's face was a mask of blood by the end of it. He had no chance. He was a mess. But fair play to him. He was brave. He took his chance. He was given a chance. He took it. It is what it is. Right, I'm going to go now, folks, because I've got to watch some the next top rank card from Japan. I'll probably do a review of that. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Love you all.